This is Flowers on the Stage.
It was probably my grandpa, my mom's dad. He was a piano player for the Hauer Swing Band, which so Hauer Music is a man, how do I explain it? Like a multifaceted music store in Dayton. It used to be downtown on Jefferson, and now it moved up to Centerville. But when it was downtown, they had multiple floors, and it was just a massive music store, like the biggest music store I had ever seen when I was a kid. And he played for their swing band. And I think he played for them for about 60 years. He started playing with them when he was, he was like 13 or something, like something just crazy. Like all of a sudden he's playing with like a big swing band. It's got to be him. He was every time the family would get together for Christmas, holidays, anything like that, we'd gather around the piano, and he would play. I distinctly remember my Uncle Mark singing especially horribly, as well as my mom. But when we were kids, that's what we would do at family gatherings. And as I started picking up music, he obviously encouraged me. And even, let's see, so I started off playing guitar when I was about 12, and I picked up on that really quickly. So he saw an opportunity. He's like, hey, maybe I can teach you piano. Here, let's learn how to read music. And that did not come as naturally to me as guitar. And that really, really frustrated me. And I just ended up kind of giving up on piano. But he, he's just, let's see, when I first got into fish, I had him listen to a live one, the end of Slave to the Traffic Light, where Paige does the outro solo, and I'm like, hey Papa, what do you think of this? And he gets this look on his face like oh god awful. He's like, god awful. Oh, he's just playing practice scales and he's not even doing them well. And I was like, what? So he was he didn't hold back. And then when I started when I started doing touring and stuff like that with the Werks, he told me to do it for fun and to not try to make a living out of it. And at the time I was like, fuck that. This is, I'm going to do this. I'm going to follow this. I'm going to take this, as far as it'll go. But now, as I'm older and he's gone, I understand what he meant. But my grandpa, Richard DeBard.
I love it.
Yeah, he was a really he was an amazing dude.
Can you talk to me about a specific moment in the past that maybe challenged your preconceptions about music itself and like made you rethink how music works?
Having adding Dan to the band and having the courage to let me a little sidestep here, but I've always been kind of self-taught and have always learned by ear, more or less, and not paid so much attention to the rules per se or even music theory until Dan came along. Dan Shaw kind of tore down the barriers of music theory for me, and really helped it make so much more sense. Um, so much more sense. I mean, he can tell me a chord, and I know my shapes. I already knew my shapes, um, as far as like scales go. Um, but that he helped me think about it in a different way, more theoretical, um, and proper. So a lot of the things that were kind of holding me back were not knowing not knowing the rules. But another thing that helped me excel was not playing by the rules, I think, in my opinion. So I still have the not playing by the rules mentality, but now I know the rules. It's for the most part, because it's never all learned. Um, but that was definitely one of the most uncomfortable things, because it's something, old dog new tricks. By the time Dan came along, it was 2016. And we had been a band for 11 years. I've been playing guitar for shit since I've been playing guitar for almost 20 years. So yeah, it was just kind of turning on a different part of my brain, especially my musical brain, and taking the time to learn the difficulties of theory really helped me out, to be more comfortable, just kind of winging it, because I knew where to fall back on. And it helped out with harmonies, like whenever Mahali would sit in, or any guitar player really, if they would start to play a lick, a repeating lick, I could instantly, figure out, okay, I probably want to play a third over that, or mix, okay, he's playing in major, I'll play minor over top of it, get some more like some Allman Brothers harmonies going on. And yeah, I would have not dove into that if it weren't for Dan. So that, I feel like I strayed away from your question a little bit, but that was one of the more uncomfortable musical experiences I had. And Dan really helped kind of smooth that along. And he's still an incredible wealth of knowledge, theoretically, as far as music goes. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
I'm just very grateful for his presence.
What's something that you believe now that you didn't believe when you were younger?
Oh man, huh? As far as music goes, when I was young,
Or about life?
so I'll start with music, and maybe I'll come up with a revelation with life as well. But with music, when we first started touring, it was any gig we can get it, you know. And now it's we don't you don't have to jump on everything. We don't have to jump on everything, and because we're kind of spacing our shows out, we're getting a lot more out of it. So the question was something I believe now that I didn't believe when I was younger. I believe that less is more. I didn't believe that when I was younger. My playing, I felt like there had to be a note. Always. There always had to be a note. There was no rest. But the thing is, a rest is a note as well. And it is an often overlooked one, but I think some of the greatest musicians use that note to the fullest. And you don't always have to play. And honestly, I've found lately that when I'm not playing, the music is able to blossom even more. You hear subtle nuances when I'm just sitting back and letting Rob and Chuck lay down the groove, and then Dan will add his part. I'll still sit back. When we enter an improvisational section of a song, I'll still sit back and just wait and wait and wait and just kind of see where I'm going to fit in. You know, that patience is certainly something that I guess I believed in it, but I wasn't confident in it when I was younger. Same thing as far as life goes. You know, you want everything. I've always been an impatient person, but I've found that the best way to, you know, have what you want is to be patient. And it took me a long time to learn that, and now I'm trying to teach my son that. It's hilarious.
Good
Trying
luck.
to teach a 5-year-old to be patient is ambitious. It's ambitious, to say the least. I believe that you know, if I think I might have said this in the last interview, but you know, if you can put your mind, if you can do anything you put your mind to. I wasn't a believer of that when I was younger. But when I started believing that, you know, I started being able to do really almost anything I really put my mind to.
Yes.
And you know, there's no way to understand that without age. I don't think, you know, for me, there wasn't a way for me to understand that without literally trial and error, and just going through the experience of life. Yeah.
Yes.
This is Flowers on the Stage, a podcast about being creative and finding success. To support it, please check out our sponsors, New Belgium Brewing, Thrax CBD, and Ticket Relief, the ticketing company that plants trees with a portion of each ticket sold. And now, back to the episode.
So I feel like in anything, you know, we were talking about football earlier. Defenses have film on quarterbacks. They learn their moves, right? If you're just listening to this, Chris has got all his Bengals stuff on right now. So yeah, like sports, music, anything, people have repetitive patterns. And I'm curious with you, like, how do you keep yourself from falling back into like the same kind of thing you always do, the same riff you may feel comfortable playing? Like, how do you keep things fresh and unique?
I still do it. That's like, I can't avoid it to a point, but how do I keep things fresh? I really try and turn my brain off. Especially, you know, like those improv sections where I'm sitting back and I'm waiting. I think there's often, you know, I'll play the root in second position. That's very often I'll start there if we're in a certain key. But lately I've been trying, you know, let's start on the fifth. And just kind of, and or, you know, let's start with the third here.
There's that Dan Shaw music class coming out.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's incredible. I just got goosebumps. Yeah, the amount he taught me about music theory was just incredible, and it's just so simple. Now it just seems very simple to me. But you know, selecting where I start on any given a solo or an improv groove that we're laying down, and I'm literally just adding some texture in there to the groove that the other three guys have already laid down. Thinking more theoretically and trying to step out of my comfort zone while still being comfortable. That is by far like just songs we've been playing for almost 20 years. And I've been playing somewhat of a scripted solo in certain sections, like Duck Farm has a lot of those. Trying to rethink those, but not overthink it. but yeah, that's how I keep things fresh. Also, like rhythmically, instead of just slamming chords, just play just play the root and the seven, or the root, the five and the seven, with rhythmic chords, while Dan's soloing, and just trying different positions and stuff. Just kind of keep it. I have to keep myself interested, so um, and that's a lot of it as well. But when I start in those different positions, like the fifth or the third, it obviously it interacts differently with the rhythm that's already been laid out. So it's almost like playing. Anytime I play a different guitar, like a Telecaster. I don't have a Telecaster yet, but there's this one that I always play at Guitar Center whenever I go in there or whatever, for whatever reason. And I always pick that up, and I always, that tone, it makes me want to play snappy chicken picking honky tonk stuff, and I have a lot of different tones on the PRS, which I love. I had a lot of different tones with the DGN, and sometimes mixing up the tones from splitting my coils so it sounds less like a humbucker, or less like a Gibson, for lack of a better term, or splitting those humbuckers and having it sound more like a Strat. Those sort of subtle nuances that the average listener might not hear, they stick out to me, and they kind of lend to a different style, a different approach for me. And that's that's really how I keep myself interested. And also, it's also a good way for me to not play the same lick over and over and over again, even though it does happen, but you might not notice it, just because I'll voice it in a different way. But I definitely have my go-tos, but I'm definitely aware of that, and I'm always trying to do something different.
It's hard to avoid them.
Yeah, sure. But you know what? Going back to the patience thing, patience, instead of just jumping into what you're used to doing, just kind of breathe for a minute, take a deep breath, and think, there's something different here. What can I, what's going to happen if I start here? Every fret is available all the time. Every string is available all the time. And whether it's the right or wrong note is really depicted by the note that you play after it. If you think about it that way, there's no wrong notes, and if you play a wrong note, you're just one fret up or one fret down from the right note. Pretty much every time I learned that from Dan.
What would you say is the personality trait you most admire in people you work with?
Empathy. Being able to relate. Humility. In my line of work, well, in with musicians, there's a lot of egos, and we've all got them. But being able to laugh at yourself, not take yourself too seriously, that's super important to me. If someone's too serious, I'm not likely to, I'm not likely to linger or really seek, their company. And that's just, I can't help that. That's just who I am. But that's not to say that I won't strike up a conversation with someone who's extra confident or cocky in my eyes. But I tend to hang out more around the empathetic people who are not too full of themselves, and are able to laugh at themselves and not take themselves too seriously. I learned that from my dad, and I didn't realize I learned it from my dad until when he passed away in 2010. At his service, all of the CEOs from his company came, and they told me, they stopped me and said, "Hey, we want to tell you what what your dad taught us. And even these guys are suits. Like, I don't know what, I can't remember what the hell company he worked for, but it was like, I mean, serious, you know, business shit. And these guys are all about money. Or that's my opinion. But what my dad taught them and what they made sure to tell me that my dad taught them was that, you know, they said, you know, hey, Chris, you know, your dad taught us a lot about humility and to not take ourselves too seriously and to be able to laugh at ourselves. And I didn't realize it until that time, but I have a lot of that going on as well. Empathy, man. Like, when I see someone in pain, I feel that pain too. I don't know if that's, I don't know if everybody else goes through that. Humility and empathy. Being able to understand, or at least put yourself in someone else's shoes. And you know, like the saying goes, walk a mile in someone else's shoes. There's no way to fully understand what anybody else is going through. But Sonder is the understanding that every other person has an equally complex life as your own. And that's, I think Rob specifically picked that. I think, well, we all agreed on it, but Rob specifically brought up that word to name the, you know, the ongoing music releases from the Werks. And I just, it's true. And understanding that for me, it's helped me understand other people so much better.
Now, aside from empathy, what do you think are the main qualities, like personal attributes, that a successful musician needs to have?
Work ethic, that's for sure. If you want to become a good musician, from your first scales, you mess it up the first time, you try it again. You mess it up the second time, you try it again. Dedication, but work, you know, dedication to your work, and work ethic. It's that's one of the biggest ones. Someone in the band has to have it. Not everybody in the band has to have it, but things will go a lot quicker if they do. If you're trying to get out there, you know, promotions, just, you know, dedication to the craft, and dedicate and an understanding of what it takes, which is really hard to grasp until you actually get your ass out there and play for 2 people 3 states away on a Wednesday, or, you know, like $100, sleep in your van, eat dinner from the gas station. That once you go through that, you realize, wow, this sucks, but I'm having fun somehow. But you know, like, but then, you know, once you hit that, when you get to that point, you're gonna say, I can do this, or you're gonna say, fuck this. But then, you know, you're if you're a solo act, okay, you're screwed. But if you're in a group, like I'm lucky enough to be, and there's usually at least one that's going to pick you up and say, come on, man, let's go. Got this. Just, you know, a couple more days, we get to go home, we get a little break. Got this. Let's keep doing this. That person was Dino. That person was Rob, mainly Rob. That person was Norman for me. That person was literally everybody. Kenny. But yeah, you know, if anyone is a prime example of the dedication, and I know I mentioned this in the last interview too, it's Rob Chafin. That guy just has no give up in him. It's really impressive. But that's, you know, he's a rare find. But in every successful band, there is at least one Rob Chafin, someone who just is refusing to give up no matter what. Let's see. What other qualities? Let me go back to the question again. The
Successful musician.
successful musicians. Yeah. Communication. Communication. If you know, if Rob played a shitty drum fill at one show and I didn't tell him I thought it was shitty, and that just stayed inside, it just bottled me up, and it just bottled up inside of me, that and it happened. It happened plenty of times. But communication is a huge thing. If you're not telling your guys how you feel about something, then how are they ever going to know? You're just going to be pissed off for no reason. They're not going to know why. That's a big deal. You're spending time on the road with a bunch of guys, maybe in a van, most likely in a van. And that's that open line of communication and understanding needs to be there. You gotta understand that nobody is the same as you. Nobody wants the same things as you. Everybody wants something different. And life is better on the road when you can understand that, and get just try a little bit to be a team and to make everybody else happy, as well as yourself, because that mentality on the road is tough to keep up when everybody's partying their asses off and not sleeping, and whatever else happens to you on the road, playing, you have a great crowd on Friday, and then we got a Sunday show. Cool. Where is it? Park City, Utah. Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna play our asses off for these 20 people, but compliments, communication, compliments, it's a delicate dance. But let's see, never giving up, and willingness to devote yourself to the craft. I would say that in the work ethic, that's what makes successful musicians, as far as I know. As far as I'm concerned, and a good understanding for the other guys in your group.
Hell yes. If you could see a past version of yourself performing live, which Chris would you pick and why?
That would probably be a recent one. Man, maybe there was, like, when I first started playing in bars. The first bar I ever played at was Capri Lanes on South Dixie Drive in is that Moraine or Kettering? But I was as green as can be. I wasn't jaded by anything. I don't think I'm jaded now, but there was a point where I was. Probably those first couple times that I just decided that I was just jamming with my buddy Chris Hansen at the bowling alley. Because it doesn't get more innocent than that for me. As time progressed, the innocence went away. There were many different things that contributed to that. Substance abuse. I mean, pretty much that was really like what kind of hindered a lot of, or what took away a lot of the innocence for me. But man, those first open mic nights that I used to play at Capri Lanes, we used to do the Walnut Hills down at UD. I did a couple of like graduation parties for friends, just me and my acoustic guitar.
How does one get innocence back?
That's a good question, because I feel like I've kind of gotten it back in a way, as far as music goes. the joy, just the elation just to be there, making music with my friends. Um,
What do you feel like brought the innocence back for you?
that's a good question. I I kind of feel like my son has something to do with that. Um, you know, re- um, well, and another big thing was taking a step back, slowing things down.
Mm,
Um, I I can say that I really do feel like a kid again when I get on stage now. And back when we were really like really grinding, there was more of a almost a cocky attitude about it, and just the humbling experience of being on the road, big shows, small shows, that knocked me down a few pegs. Um, but I think really just like getting to the verge of just putting it all down and then realizing that I couldn't, um, and then getting back up on stage, that was that's what brought it back. Um, and losing the innocence was understanding, going through the music industry and understanding, if you don't shake this hand, if you don't kiss this baby, you're not playing this show, you're not, then the first time I really realized that was when we started, we shifted management to Opus One. And Opus One is Mike Sanders out of Pittsburgh, or Millvale, Pennsylvania. And we had started playing at the Rex Theater in Pittsburgh. Well, we started playing at the Thunderbird, booked by Ben Pennegar, Big Ben. He grew us at the Thunderbird, and then moved us when he started. When he started operations at the Rex Theater, he moved us there and grew us to the point where we drew the attention of Mike Sanders with Opus One, and Ben was like, he hooked us up with him. It's like, hey, just so you guys know, I think you should go with Mike Sanders. It's like, even though it means you're not gonna play at my club anymore. We're like, what? And it's because Mike Opus One, they own the Mr. Small's Theater,
mm,
and why would they book their band at someone else's club when they have their own club? Well, I didn't really understand that. I was like, no, Ben, we're still going to play your club. I'm going to make sure of it. No, that's not how it works. And there goes the innocence. Can't do what we want. Um, Even though we what we can't play where we want to play, because we don't have the right relationship with someone. Or we joined a relationship that could benefit us, but it's not, but what's that worth if we're not playing, for the people that we want to play for, or if we can't continue our relationships with this agent. That's in the
mm.
music industry in general, that can do that to you. It's the entertainment business, and that's pretty much as far as I'll go with that. I don't want to talk too much shit about music, because I really, it's a huge part of my life, and it has been for a very long time, and I'm grateful for its presence in my life. But but oh man, there's a Hunter S. Thompson quote about it, and I can't even come close to repeating it, but it's like, he lists, there's deception, there's greed, there's this and that, and then there's the dark side, or then there's the bad side, or whatever. In his description of maybe just the entertainment industry or the music industry, I think it was entertainment. But Hunter S. Thompson really kind of nailed it. But you're yeah, at some point you're gonna come to the crossroads. If you want to take it to the next level, you may or may not have to sign a deal with the devil. But taking that contract and ripping it up, that's where the innocence comes back.
Mm, love
I
that.
yeah,
Those are bars right there.
I mean, that's how it worked out for me. I love the guys I'm playing music with. I appreciate their presence now more than ever. We're really in a good spot. You know, I don't get to see them as much as I'd like to, but when we do, we make the best out of it.
Mm.
Um, and that's just how it is. That's just life. We're not putting out music as fast as we want to, but we're gonna get to it. I have faith in that. I know the rest of the guys do too. We actually have some recording time scheduled, so that's cool.
Hell
Uh, so,
yes.
so yeah, we're finally be getting some new tunes out, and I'm very excited about that too.
Me too.
Like a kid.
Other than, you know, incrementally regaining innocence. And, we've discussed some other aspects of this, but how do you feel like being a dad has changed you as a person?
There's a lot. Um, patience, which I patience and understanding is huge. Um, I don't get I don't get upset with other people as much as nearly as much as I used to. Um, their like bargaining tactics, or just kind of not necessarily bargaining tactics. I don't bargain with my son, but there has to be tact. So like, I feel like my relationships with all of my friends have gotten a lot better. Um, responsibility, that's a huge one. I'm responsible for this. This is like with being a parent, like, I wanted this. Okay, now I got to do it. The amount of work that goes into to being a parent is incredible, and I only have one. I can't imagine how people with like 3 and 4 kids do it. I just don't know. I don't know, man. Like, I got one kid. I got a pile of laundry as tall as the kid back there waiting to get washed. That's okay. And that's another thing. Just kind of, you find yourself, when I find myself in a real sticky situation or something that's like, oh my god, what have I done? It's okay. We'll figure it out. There's a lot of things that I don't think about myself nearly as much. Um, there's someone more important, and there's a couple someone's more important. My wife and my kid. I still take care of myself. If I want something, I'll most likely just go out and get it for myself. But it's them first. You know. Um, let's see what else. Being able, yeah, I didn't used to be a morning person when we were on the road. I'd sleep till like 2 p.m., 3 p.m., whatever. How it depends on how late I went to bed, but um, now I'm a morning person. I like to, I'm the first one awake. I I get up, I let the dogs out, feed the dogs. Um, I start the coffee. My wife never has to set an alarm. I wake her up. Um, it's it's like, I grew up in a big family, and have being a parent is, it feels like fulfilling my destiny. I grew up in a big family, and I was taught family values that a lot of times family is all you got, whether it's friends that we call family or actual family, that we share a last name or blood with. Um, at the end of the day, usually for my family, that's the no judgment zone. I can be who I am. I'm gonna be who I am no matter what. But they don't give me funny looks. I've never loved something so much
Mm.
as my son. And when he's in a bad mood, like I said before, I want to help him through that. But is that really going to help him? There's so many different parenting styles. A lot that I agree with, a lot that I don't.
Mm.
And there's no right answer for a lot of things. It's just how you get through it. That's the answer. A lot of times there's yeah, life's hard. Life's sometimes like, how the fuck am I going to get through this? Find a way. Find a way. That before I had a kid, I would shut down. I still do sometimes when I have a lot of responsibilities that just pile up, but shit's got to get done, and no one else is going to do it but me. So that responsibility has really really helped me out.
Amazing.
And I have my kid and my wife to thank for it. So I'm very grateful.
Amazing. What do you think old Chris would say to you now if given the chance?
Why are you so much like Dad? Growing up, I loved my dad, but he was very, very matter of fact, and he wanted me to act a certain way, and I didn't get it then. I get it now. If he wasn't like that, then I wouldn't be like this. I always felt like my dad was real hard on me.
And you polarized him a little bit.
Oh God. So, man, like, we butted heads, and I really regret it. I definitely have a lot of regret with my and my father's relationship that I can't fix, but I am aware of it. And no matter how much I wish that no matter how bad I want things between me and my son to be different than they were with me and my dad, I can already tell. I mean, I think every father has that moment with their son, but as they grow into the teen years, that there's no common ground. It's a lot of butting heads. My son is he's got a strong personality, thanks to his mother and father, and there's I've already seen myself acting like my dad, and what else do I have to go from? That's what I was taught. That's how I grew up learning how to be a dad, watching my dad. But yeah, like, and if my younger self would be like, man, you need to party some more or something. But I took care of that. I did that. I did all that. And I'm not a complete prude. Still had a good time, god damn it.
As you should.
Yeah, you can't lose that. Man, what else would my younger self
would old you say to you now? This is the question.
I think I'm going the right direction. Old me would say, I think you're going the right direction. To now me, I think. That's how I feel right now. I feel like I'm doing things right. I'm not perfect. But I feel like I got a good trajectory going on right now. We're about to my son's going to start kindergarten next year. We're going to get him into a private school. We held it back. Didn't hold him back. We just didn't start him this year. He's 5. He has a May birthday. 2 days away from my birthday.
Kid's going to be a dominant Little League baseball player.
He loves football.
Nice.
He loves football, loves baseball. He loves all sports.
That year ahead.
So when I was in school, I was always one of the youngest. And my maturity level matched up more with the kids a grade below me. So we're trying to just kind of cut that corner with our son and try and give him every opportunity to be successful as we can. So starting him a little bit later, so now he'll be one of the older kids in his class. His maturity level from now till between last year and now is just incredible.
Hmm.
He's like teaching himself how to read it, and I just like, how is this my kid?
Wow.
I think old me would say that you're doing it right. I think.
Fuck yeah.
But me now looking back at me, who I used to be, like, God damn, what the fuck was I thinking? So who knows? Maybe old me is gonna look back and say, God damn, what the hell was he thinking? But I don't know. I don't know until I get there.
Amazing. Well, Chris, dude, they're lucky to have you. So are all of us. Can't wait to see you at the winter workout, man. And thank you so much for joining me here.
Absolutely, Cam. Always a pleasure.
I'm Katie Daly, producer of Flowers on the Stage. This episode is brought to you by New Belgium Brewing.
Música, música.